Midnight was the hour when the world finally fell silent, when the lights of the city dimmed and everything ordinary became something magical without even trying. For most people, midnight simply marked the end of a day and the start of another. But for two people, Ava and Rayaan, it was the only time their story truly lived. The day belonged to responsibilities, to noise, to masks that people wore to survive. But nights, especially the deep silver-blue pause of midnight, Ava was a quiet girl with a mind that moved faster than her words. She worked from home designing digital illustration sheets for clients she never met and brands she didn't care to remember. She wasn't the type who searched for adventure, yet it always found her when she least expected it. On the other side of the city, Rayaan worked late shifts at a café that never slept. He had a laugh that could warm tired hearts and eyes that seemed to hold stories he never told anyone. His clothes always smelled of coffee beans and cinnamon syrup because he spent hours steaming milk and pulling espresso shots for strangers who looked for comfort in caffeine. He didn't fear loneliness, he feared routine, the idea that life could pass without anyone remembering his name. Fate, though invisible, is often very intentional. One rainy midnight, Ava couldn't sleep. The thunder outside roared like restless giants, shaking windows and stirring the sky with electric fire. She grabbed a hoodie, tied her hair into a mess, and stepped out into the storm-washed streets, craving fresh air and a distraction from her thoughts. Her feet guided her to the only cafe with a glowing sign, Moonbeam Brews. The warm yellow light spilling through the glass door pulled her inside like a silent invitation. Rayaan noticed her immediately, not because she was beautiful, though she absolutely was in a quiet, unforced way, but because she looked like she was carrying a universe on her shoulders. And he had a habit of noticing people like that. Their first interaction wasn't grand or movie-like. It was simple. "Rough night?" he asked. "Rough life," she whispered with a tired smile. He served her a mug of hot chocolate topped with extra marshmallows on the house, he said. She sat in the corner watching raindrops race each other down the window, and he walked back to his counter pretending he wasn't thinking about her. But he was. Midnight stretched into hours.
It's
They
funny how
talked
the
like they
rain
had
makes
known each other
everything
forever,
feel so much
laughing
closer in
softly
here.
and trading secrets
really
the way
does.
children trade colored stones under moonlight.
I feel like I could
When
stay
she finally
here
left,
forever.
the storm had calmed, but something new had begun, a connection that didn't need daylight to grow. Midnight soon became their ritual. Not planned, but understood. It wasn't what they said that made it special, it was everything they didn't have to say. Ava would show up, sometimes still carrying traces of sleep under her eyes, and Rayaan would always have her drink ready before she even ordered. The night air would be cold, but inside that cafe, warmth existed in the form of stolen glances and shy smiles. Ava found comfort in the way Rayaan listened, really listened. He remembered tiny details, her favorite song to think to, the exact temperature she liked for her hot chocolate, the way her eyebrows creased whenever she talked about deadlines. She learned things about him too, the way he drummed his fingers when nervous, how he dreamed of traveling to cities he only saw in books, how he secretly wrote poetry but never showed it to anyone. Their connection was soft but strong, like a silk thread tying two distant stars into the same constellation. Ava didn't believe in fate before Rayaan. She thought love was messy, loud, full of red flags and painful endings. But here she found something different. Something quiet. Something patient. Something that didn't demand to be bigger than life, yet somehow felt bigger than anything she had ever known. Rayaan had been lonely long before Ava stepped in, though he never showed it. The cafe was full of people, yes, but they were passing strangers, souls with brief chapters in his story. Ava was the first person who made him feel like he was worth staying for. Even silence felt comfortable with her. Sometimes Ava brought her tablet and sketched while Rayaan worked, her eyes lifting every few seconds just to make sure he was still there. Sometimes he slipped into her booth during slow hours, telling stories that made her laugh so hard she snorted and covered her face. He loved that sound. She loved his laugh in return. They didn't talk about love. They didn't call it anything. But there were moments, little, undeniable moments, where the world seemed to pause around them. Like when he brushed a raindrop from her cheek and his fingers lingered, or when she fixed his apron and forgot to pull her hands away. Those touches held more truth than whole paragraphs of confession. And every time they parted ways as the sky started brightening, They both walked home with hearts that beat just a little faster than before. But love, especially midnight love, doesn't stay untouched by daylight forever. Ava's career suddenly demanded more: new clients, new deadlines, new expectations. Late nights at the cafe turned into nights staring at screens, stress clawing at her mind like vines. She knew she should tell Rayaan, but fear held her speechless, fear that changing the routine would break the magic. Rayaan felt her distance before she ever spoke about it. He noticed fewer visits, messages that took longer to arrive, the hesitation in her eyes as if she was trying not to disappoint him. He tried to stay understanding, but his heart tugged against patience. He had finally found someone who made him feel seen, and now she was slipping away like moonlight before sunrise. One night, after almost a week of no sign from Ava, Rayaan stood in the quiet cafe staring at the door with a heavy heart. The clock ticked past midnight. Then 1. Then 2. No Ava. The loneliness he had once lived with easily now felt unbearable. Ava, on the other hand, sat at home exhausted and frustrated. Her art felt wrong, her hands shook from too much pressure, and her heart ached with missing him. She wondered if loving someone during midnight meant losing them during day. The next night, despite her exhaustion, she returned to the cafe. But the energy wasn't the same. Silence filled the space between them like an invisible wall. Rayaan asked if everything was okay, but her forced smile didn't answer him. They were both afraid to admit how much they mattered to each other. Afraid of saying too much. Afraid of saying too little. That kind of fear is the quiet villain of love. Slowly, the nights turned shorter, conversations shorter, their laughter faint like distant echoes. Midnight wasn't theirs anymore. It was just time passing. Love doesn't always break with loud arguments, sometimes it slips away with gentle goodbyes neither person actually says. Then came the night when they both reached their breaking point. It was raining again, like the first night they met. Ava entered the cafe soaked and shivering, her heart pounding ache into every step. Rayaan saw the storm in her eyes and realized it wasn't the weather causing it. Without a word, he closed the cafe early, locked the doors, and led her to their booth. The air between them pulsed with unspoken emotions. She stared into her mug, tears falling before she could stop them. "I didn't want to ruin what we have," she finally confessed in a trembling whisper. "I'm scared that if we name it, if we make it real, the world will take it away." Rayaan gently lifted her chin so their eyes met, eyes filled with months of longing and unspoken truth. "Ava," he said softly, "love is real even if we don't say it. Pretending we're okay doesn't protect us, being honest does." She broke then, not from weakness but from the weight she no longer wanted to carry alone. She told him everything about her fears, her work, how much she missed him even when she was sitting right beside him. And he told her he didn't want to be another temporary comfort. He wanted to be the person who stayed. The rain outside softened, as if the sky itself paused to listen. They sat closer, closer, until the distance that once scared them dissolved into warmth. Rayaan reached for her hand and Ava didn't pull away this time. Midnight stretched endlessly, not like an hour passing, but like time itself had bowed respectfully to their moment. There was no dramatic kiss, no loud promises. Just two souls choosing each other despite the world waiting outside. And that was enough. Some love stories don't need sunlight to bloom. Some are written under moonlight, in whispers, in shared silences, in tiny acts of care. Ava and Rayaan's story didn't end at midnight, it began there. Because from that night onward, they decided that no matter what the day demanded, midnight would always belong to them. Their love wasn't loud, but it was true. And sometimes, that's the kind of love that lasts the longest, a love so deep the world sleeps while it grows.